Good morning! Good morning, everybody! Hello, hello, hello! I know it's hard, thank you. I know it's hard to get, like we get to see each other and it's fun to talk and catch up and that kind of stuff, but we do have to get through a couple of things this morning while we're here, the reason that we're here. By the way, hey, hello 2019, huh? Yeah, ready to go. I was ready just before the New Year's Eve. I was like, is it time? We need to go. We got to go do this, So anyway, welcome, thank you, appreciate it. We actually had to bring in a few extra chairs. The new location, easy to get to for everybody.
Thank you.
See, it was, I know it was great for me. I just popped on, boom, there, so it works out. So anyway, appreciate you being here. Thank you. Want a couple of things. Want to see if Mike, do you need anything to share with the group? Say hi or anything? Mike Kentfield, the legacy?
Just rates are really good right now, especially jumbo and FHA. Obviously, with the government shutdown, USDA is on hold for now. So keep that in mind with your USDA.
Raise limits on going?
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit last time. Obviously, conventional loans are higher, and FHA limits went up as well. So that helps with getting more people through in those programs.
Cool. Appreciate it. Thank you. Yep. Thank you. Call Mike if you need anything. Legacy Bank. Andy, where's oh, here he is right here. Andy, what do you got to say for HMS?
So HMS is one of the sponsors at the DMAR banquet coming up on the 25th. I actually have a couple extra tickets, so if anyone wants to go and is interested, just hit me up afterwards. And all right, we'll probably have to do a raffle or something. But I'll take some names and then we can draw out of a hat or something. Because I have 2 tickets, so
perfect.
And then I know that the market's sort of normalizing a little bit. Don't forget, seller's coverage is always a good marketing tool for sellers. Having this one coverage on. So that's pretty much all I have. I don't have a whole lot.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. With that being said, as Andy was alluding to, we've had a little bit of unfortunately, some people are calling that market downturn. Trust me, this is not a downturn. Okay, been there, done that. We're having a market normalization. We're having it come back to make some sense, to get a little more balanced and that kind of stuff. So in keeping with that, Matt's got some info to share to help you work through some of the details of the market and where we are right now.
Before we get in that, thanks for everybody for coming. I don't know why a new room makes me a little bit more nervous than
The applause was thundering, buddy.
No, every guy stand up at once. We did send out a survey for health insurance. If you guys have the need, try to fill that out. We're trying to fill out how many people will be willing to participate. Even if you're not interested, my wife, thank God, she covers our health insurance, so I don't have to worry about that. But I still filled it out saying no, I don't need it, that kind of thing. Just trying to get an active count. There's only one other company we know in the nation that's brought health insurance to their company. Two. I'm sorry. We're trying to be the third. So we want to try to give you guys some options. We know that's a need for a lot of you. So if it's an interest, please fill it out. I think so far.
We have 74 signed up, filled it out so far.
So yeah, 74. We are about 200 agents, so we're still missing a good 126 again.
74 is a 70% that said yes.
So yeah, we're about 46 people that right now have a need for it, but we're still missing about 125 surveys. So if your spouse covers it, great. Just kind of fill out the form so we know who has a need and who doesn't, and we can try to bring that for you, okay? At least give you some options of what you're already paying for. Because I know before my wife picked it up, it was pretty expensive for a family of 5. So on that note, on a market update, we're hovering right now around 3,500 homes on the market. A third of that is new construction. The inventory for new construction is a little bit high when you look at it from a month standpoint. I think your report said about 1.5 years worth of inventory.
Yes, total new construction.
Total new construction, which is high. I mean, you like to see below 8 months. So, you look at You look at the below the 200 market, it's still a seller's market. But everything above that now is leaning towards a buyer's market. And I recognize that even like a lot of seasoned agents in here have really been, 10, 12 years you've been in the market. You've seen two markets. You've seen one that was depressed with a recession in 08 moving to 2012, and then you've seen the last 5 years of it just being on fire. And it made me realize what we're into now, they call it a normalization. It's really what I came up with and Lance came up with. It's just a normal market. It's going to appreciate 2 to 5%, depending where you're at, and they do predict appreciation. Sellers are going to be looking at taking probably 3% off their list price to sales price. The days of getting 2 to 3 to 4 offers with, getting 10,000 above that, those days are probably over for now. We're going to have more inventory. There's going to be more to select from, but it's going to be a good market. You're going to sell a lot of homes. So when people start talking about this rescission, it's not a rescission. It's just that we were up so high, going so fast that it's stabilizing. So it feels like it's coming down a little bit. But for those that work their database, those that make connections, those that know how to follow up on leads short-term and long-term, you're going to be great. You're going to be prepared to grind it out. I understand a lot of you that haven't done opens are now doing opens, and the open houses have really been turning out people, so you like to see that. But be prepared for a good 2019. You're going to sell a lot of homes. From now, you already see the market heating up now, people putting on inventory. I think there was 500 homes put on the last month on the market. That's quite a bit. Last year, we started out, I think it was like about 2,700 homes at the beginning of the year.
26, yeah.
By the time we hit March, it was right around 2,000. So here we are starting out the year with a lot more inventory, okay? Now be prepared that 400 and up, you're in a buyer's market. I mean, it's if you have a seller who's selling right around 200 and they're moving up to that 400 range, they're in the best position any person can be in, because their house is going to sell fairly quickly if it's priced right. And the home they're moving into, they should be able to get a fairly good deal, negotiate a fairly good deal. So some of you guys that are working new construction and you're in that 400 plus, pay attention to what's going on in your competition and what they're offering and how you can beat it, how you can be the option to position yourself to be the best option in that range, in that area. I think with new construction that's real high, you may see them pull back a little bit, okay? But yeah, for the longest time when I was licensed in 95 until about 2004, it was very predictable of a 2 to 5% appreciation every year. The good thing about it is it's sustainable. This market we've been in the last 5 years, it isn't sustainable. Having 8% from one year to the next, or 10% in some areas, you just can't sustain that. So where we're at now, we'll see how long it lasts. Interest rates, they predict 4 hikes this year, but so far they've come down. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But be prepared to have a great 2019. Be prepared to go deeper with your database. I know me personally, I don't want to get too more on a rant because I know we got Liz coming up next to share some good stuff with you. The last 2 years, I wasn't getting as many referrals as I normally was, and I had to really reflect and look inside and figure out, what was I doing differently before and what was happening now. And I realized that I was just kind of herding sheep. I was just kind of like getting people through my system. And system's good, but I think I relied too much on it. And I started to forget how to connect with people on a personal level, when things were going great in their life, being there to congratulate them, when things weren't going well or they had some kind of tragedy, not being there with that sympathy card, that personal phone call, hey, I'm thinking about you, or finding that service level that was maybe a little bit 10% above what they were looking for, that gave them something to remember the experience by. I for some reason, I got away from all that. I just kind of put them through the system and got them to closing, here's your keys next. Get everything inspection, closing, here next. And I automated everything. Systems are great. I don't want to say systems aren't bad, but I think I lost a personal touch in what I was doing. So I know me personally, everybody has a word for the new year. For me, it is to connect. It's to connect a little deeper with my clients, connect a little deeper with all you guys, and to try to get that personal touch back in my business that really help me grow, get to where I want, get to where I am. So, and anyway, again, thank you for all being here. We're all here for you to talk about your business, one-on-one and group. We're all here to help you grow, help you achieve whatever it is in life, as well as work. I know each one of us is available. We make ourselves available, and we'll be happy to do so. This is what we got into this for, is to help you guys grow your business. That's what we want to do. So please, I'm reaching out to you guys to have lunches with you. I've had lunches with several of you already this year. I plan to get to all of you and just learn more about you personally. But please feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to get you to know you better personally, even if we're not talking about the business, just your personal, and get to know me better personally. So, all right, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. That's great. Just to add to that one little thing, rest assured, the market, the way it is and the way it's going to be, people are going to need you more than they ever have. The market goes down, it's a little more complicated on the listing side. This is going to require marketing. I mean, the stab the sign and wait for the phone call is over. So, they're going to need you, both listing and buying, making sure you're seeing the inventory. You understand the processes, working with Mike and lenders about, things like when you look, well, I can get that house for $3,000 less. Maybe. Is that the best use of that money? To bring it down to $3,000? Or is the best use of that money is to call Mike and say, what kind of interest could that buy? That lowers your payment. And sometimes dramatically if you hit one of those little cliff marks, where it drops. So open your mind and explore the possibilities that's out there for you. So there are some new people here. If you would, anybody that has not been at a breakfast before, could you rise, please? Yeah.
Oh, come on.
That's okay. And introduce yourself, please.
I'm Tanya Martin. I am with Homes with Nora, and I moved over a few months ago from Keller Williams.
Yay!
I'm excited for this next year.
Thank you. Welcome. And Joe, right?
Tyler, Joe, Taylor. I'm Taylor, and I do stuff with abstract.
Yeah, she's the one that calls and talks to you. So now you put a face to the annoying phone call.
Everybody's like, oh.
That's the one right there. Yeah. So anyway, again, thanks for showing up today. We've got a speaker today that I've known for, 15 years, 10, yeah, something like that, a long time. And have known her through the process and seen her grow and enrich her life and herself and gain wisdom. It's been awesome to watch. Her husband, Kent, used to work with us selling real estate, and then he came to his senses and went and got a real job. Sure. But anyway, Liz Nead is, she's a mentor, she's an author, she's a speaker, a motivator. She just brings a different view, so you can understand about growth, personal growth and business growth, because it all comes together. And so we're excited to have her today to come and share some things with us. Put your hands together for Liz Nead.
I think we're good. Okay, does this work? It's not really, is it on? Maybe not. Oh, that's better. Okay, so how many people have heard me speak before? Will you raise your hand? Okay, so a few. I started speaking 10 years ago. Well, I'm into my 11th year now. And it was 2008, and I was laid off like many people, and I had created a vision board. I had decided I was gonna go for this thing that I had wanted to do since I was a little kid. So when I was like 4 or 5 years old, everyone else was playing house with their stuffed animals, and I would like line up my stuffed animals and speak to them. Say, thank you, Rabbit, for coming out. I appreciate your attention. My dad is, he's a financial guy, but he was a preacher every weekend. And my grandfather was a preacher. And so I think I'd probably come by this genetically, that this is my favorite thing. I would install a PA system into my house and speak to my husband and my children like this, like, do you want eggs? Do you want them scrambled? I wish I could do that, but I think they would kill me. So I just want to make sure. Okay. I'm going to tell you 9 myths that I think we believe, and then hopefully give you the beginnings of a plan for sales abundance for 2019. So abundance means you have so much you don't know what to do with it. This is a thing, right? The ambulance. Like when the ambulance goes, really listen, because that's an important point. I've like engineered this whole thing. But I wanted to share with you a little bit about why I think the way I do, so you can understand that, when people think motivational speaker, I mean, sometimes your eyes roll back, like you're like, oh, motivational speaker, like, yay, it's gonna be great, every day's great, which is not really, I'm really quite sarcastic, and I see issues around me all the time. But the reason why I think the way I do is because of my mom and dad. So my dad, I'm from India. My parents are from India. I grew up in Minnesota, which is why if you close your eyes, I sound like a blonde, blue-eyed woman with a hot dish on my way to a Lutheran gathering or something. But that is not, it could have been very different. So but long before I was around, my dad was 14 years old. He was in a very small town. I just actually in the beginning of 2018 went and visited like where they are from. I had seen it when I was young, but I really went to like where they went to school and really looked for myself through adult eyes and saw these places. So my dad was 14 when he decided to come to the United States, and he slept on a dirt floor on a mat. Like he had never had a proper bed at this point. There were 7 kids, he was the youngest of 7. They actually were not like bad off. My grandfather was a principal, he had a good job, but they just didn't have a ton of money. It's a very rustic kind of place. You would think, wow, I can't believe that. And he didn't know anybody in the United States, nor did anyone he know. No one had ever gone there. So this idea of this dream was kind of impossible in the sense that it seemed like a good idea. And he continued to work. He graduated when he was 15. He went to live with his oldest brother in Bombay, and he, had a room and he was getting his business degree, one of his degrees. He has a bachelor's, 2 masters, and a PhD. Super smart guy. A PhD in macroeconomics. So he could tell you some things about what's happening in the market right now. And he always thinks, just settle down. One thing that you know about markets is that they never stay the same ever. So if you're good at surfing, you'll be good at handling the market. That's what he would say. So he was in Bombay, and he also preached. So he was getting his business degree, and he was this young preacher. And when he was standing up here, just like me, he saw this woman he thought was beautiful writing notes down. And he prowled while he was on the pulpit. Don't you think you guys, come on. So he saw her and thought, she's gorgeous. I really like her. And Sunday after Sunday, she was there right in the front with all her girlfriends, and she was always writing notes and just loved everything that he said. And so one day he went up and he talked to her, and she ignored him because that was going to ruin her reputation. Like, what kind of woman is talking to a man in public? A young single lady. So he would say, hi, how you doing? And she would be with her girlfriends, and she would just pretend like he wasn't there, which made him like her all the more, right? Like the more she ignored him, the more, oh, I love you so much, please talk to me. So eventually, through a series of things, I'm gonna keep it short because I wanna get to the meat, but he got to her. He got to her through a variety of ways, but they both got influenza at the same time, and they were in the hospital. And he got better before she did. He saved all of his dessert, which was oranges, and came to her room. And she was like, get out of my room. I mean, you're wrecking me. I'm in my pajamas right now. And he said, at that moment, he said, I love you, and I'm going to the United States, and I really want you to come with me. I'd like to marry you. And she, you have arranged marriages back then. So, she's like, well, I don't know. I mean, this isn't the way it works. And so he went to England. He couldn't get to the United States. So he got his degree, and he went and got a seminary degree in England. And he would write her letters, and he would say, I want you to stand on the roof of the nursing school, and I want you to face the United States, because someday I'm going to take you there. And he would have pictures of himself. There was no email, there was no text messages. There was no way to keep her attention. He had to do it relationally, and he had to do it with like a vision. So she did that. The roommates would like steal the letter and tease her, and she would go, I have to go do this. And she would go and stand. I didn't get a chance to do that. In my next trip to India, I'd like to stand there. And he was a visionary. So she just kind of, I mean, isn't that like so romantic? Do you think that is, I mean, come on. He really has some serious game. I'm very impressed with him. So, sorry about that. I went beyond my thing. I was supposed to just go here and here. My bad. So eventually he met a guy named Harry. He told everyone he was going to the United States. Well, Harry was from the United States. He talked about it constantly. Like every other sentence was, I'm going to the United States. So Harry called his mom and said, Mom, there's this guy, Kurian Periel. He wants to go to the United States. Can we help him? So Grandma Stegman decided to help my dad and sponsored him to come to the United States. And he lived with her. And she just passed away a couple years ago, but she wrote him a letter every year. She sent me a card with $5 every year. This lovely family sponsored him. And then he moved to Detroit where he was getting his master's. He sent for my mom, and they got a wedding from their church. A car for $1, a cake, a photographer, like the whole 9 yards, and they were on their way. Now today, I want you to know, now some people don't like it when I say this, but I'm so proud of them. They're multi-millionaires, like super wealthy. And my dad came to this country with $35 in his pocket. And they also, and I think this is a much bigger deal, they've been married for 50 years, and they are in love. Like lock the door when I'm home in love. Do you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, what are you doing in there? Like you're in your 70s, you need to just unlock the door and just whatever. And they don't answer. Like, I don't know what they're like, maybe she'll go away. So I got my ear on it, and I'm like, 50 years, you'd be tired of each other. So I go back to the beginning, and I think about this 14-year-old boy who had decided what his future would be. He chose something that was incredibly unlikely. Like there was nothing around him that would lend itself to a belief that he could have millions of dollars and this lady friend that is in love with him all the time, consistently. And instead he had an adventure, and he was able to invite somebody else along. And because of the choice that a 14-year-old made, I am here. I would not be here, literally, if it wasn't for him. I would have a different accent. I would drive a different car. I'm pretty sure I'd be wearing something different if it wasn't for him. And so as I go through this presentation with you, which is a combination of some practical things that you can do and inspirational, I just want you to know what my thought process is. What I believe is that number one, you can make any choice you want. You actually can. If you can see it, it's a choice that you can make. It may not feel easy, but it might be the easiest thing in the world if it's what you're meant to do. Because I asked my dad, was it hard? And he said, it never felt hard. And I realized it was because that was his path. He was choosing his path rather than someone else's path. And the other thing that you need to know is that the choices you make are far-reaching. That things that you are doing, particularly in real estate, impact people in a really big way. Those are their friends. That you're choosing a home, you're helping someone choose a home that will be their community. That'll be like where all their memories are. There's so many things that are impacted by where you live. So if you understand that maybe this isn't totally about you, like it feels like it's about you, but my father's choices impacted my future. I don't have any grandchildren yet. I'm sure I will. Hopefully later, not sooner at this point. But all those choices, they impact other people. I'm so grateful that he was a visionary. I'm grateful that he inspired my mom to be who she is, and that I think that I have a belief system based on the way that he lived his life. So, inspirational thing is people are watching you. And the things that you do down the road, you have no idea. Some things you'll never know. The kinds of impacts that you can have on other people. So as I talk to you and you have practical feelings about what the market is, and what your abilities are, and the way your patterns have been, and maybe what other people have been to you. Maybe not everyone has been reliable. Maybe you lose faith in people sometimes. all of those things aside, ultimately there's some path that you're supposed to take in 2019. And I really don't think that people were born to just be a blob and not do anything with themselves. Like, I think you were given talents and abilities and perceptions so that you could go do something great with them. So what I hope, because we're in the beginning of the year, is that I give you some ideas to change the way you see your choices. And that you are gonna have a to-do list. Like, there's pads in the middle of the table. And like grab one and start thinking about, as I go through, what kinds of things can you do in the next month to create abundance for the rest of the year, okay? I'm done now. I feel like that's good, right? Do I have to go any further? That was really inspirational, I think. My parents are mortified that I talk about that, by the way. They get so mad. And everybody that meets them is like, hello. Oh, look, they're holding hands, like that. All right. So I'm gonna go through 9 myths. Okay? And I am going to ask you to be honest with me and tell me if you have thought this recently. Okay? I want to know what I'm dealing with. And if you hide, I'll still see your faces. I see the twitch and I know. So it'd be better if you just raised your hand. So, number 1, the myth is that it's easier somewhere else. So you look at other brokers, you look at other agents and their experiences, and you're like, it really feels like it's easier. They're telling me things like, I don't have to pay anything, and I get all this stuff, and I basically just step out of, I don't even have to get out of my pajamas, and I just sold all this, and it's just easier. It's new, it's fresh. How many people have had that thought? Raise your hand. Okay, some people, so many twitches and 4 hands. Okay. So sometimes you look at other things and you think, it does look better. It looks easier. I mean, honestly, I love what I do, and I've looked at some people and I thought, I could do something else for a living. Like, not even just changing where, I could move. I could get a new husband. You look at your life and you think, can we trade some things in? Where's the trade-in? Where's the dollar store for life? I want to go and find something else that's easier. So here's the thing that I need you to know is that you bring you to every single situation. Here's the sad thing about coaching. When someone comes to me and they say, I need to make a change, and they start listing, I ask them, what do you want to make a change? Well, I need to get a new job. I can't stand my house. I just need something new. And they're listing all these external things. I need to lose some weight. I can't stand my spouse. I can't wait until my kids leave. I mean, if they're being honest with me, they have all these things. And they're changing their hair color, and they're moving, and they're doing all these things. And the reality is, and I tell them, is the problem is that you have to bring yourself to every situation. That no matter what, the problem that you have now, you're gonna have in your new job. The problem that you have now, you'll have in your skinnier body. It's just gonna happen. No one ever solved their life problems with changing their hair color. It looks cool, but it doesn't change anything. So, how many people, the people who raised their hand, who said, okay, this is it. This change, if I could make this change, this would be different. What is, and this is the problem with raising your hand, I realize, give me one thing that wouldn't change if you changed your situation about you. Who raised their hand? Come on. Take one for the team. You raised your hand. Even the top of your head is red.
One thing that wouldn't change is my love to help people.
Okay. Yeah, like the way that you connect with people, which can be a downside. How many people care more for people than they care about themselves? Have you ever been in that situation where you're like, dude, please care. I care. And I'm sweating it out, and you're thinking, I just want to sell this house. Please help me. And you're like, no, there's more to it than this moment. Help me help you. And so that's a good example of someone where you really care, and no matter what, you're not going to care less. No matter where you go, you're still going to be the one who's like, everything about the family, and it's just not a transactional thing for you. One more person. Anyone? You bring yourself to every situation. What wouldn't change? Good or bad? Yes.
Limiting beliefs.
Yeah, limiting, perfect. Limiting beliefs. Whatever you think is going to show up over and over again, and the circumstances aren't changing it. Your beliefs are changing the circumstances. So I'm going to give you an example. So I've been married for 20 years. Some of you know my husband, Ken. He is the opposite of me. He's quieter and more meticulous and just measured. And so sometimes I can get mad at him without him actually being in the house. So I see something, like sometimes he'll put something in the wrong spot because I want him to take his shoes off, and then there's no place to put the laptop, and so he takes his shoes off and he puts the thing there and takes his shoes off, and then he forgets to pick it up and move it. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, he always thinks that I'm leaving everything everywhere, and he doesn't even see that I'm doing this, and I should take a picture and start an album of all the things that I do. And then he walks in the door and he's like, what? Like, what did I do? Now, he didn't actually do anything in that moment. That was totally me. And I created a physiological response to something that I was thinking. Like, I actually, if you could read, whatever, the energy in my body, I was angry, and he didn't even have to do anything. Like, it was really something that had been done yesterday. So whatever it is that you believe, you will bring to every situation, no matter how hard you try. All right. So I'm going to give you the rewire, okay? So the rewire is change your situation or change your experience. So you want to change your experience, and the way that you do it is by changing the way that you think. And let me tell you, in January, perfect timing. So the more challenging the situation is, the more likely you have the capacity to change your belief system. This is your moment. It's hard to change your beliefs when everything is perfect. So if you're in a moment where you think, oh, I don't know how this is going to go. They're saying all these words. It's never good when you kick off the meeting with terms about normalization. Because I was like, okay, yeah, right? I mean, that's one of those things. It's a reassurance, right? So that's hard. But the reality is they can't change anything. But what they're saying is you don't have to look at it that way. You don't have to look at a slowdown. That's the reality of it, right? That possibly this is going to be a more challenging situation than other years if you expect it to be the same. So there's some things that you can do. Number one, and I really feel like you should be writing stuff down because you are not going to remember all of this. Number one, you need to identify what the difficulties are. So how many times do we not want to see something so we can hopefully just keep doing the same thing? How many people have avoided stepping on a scale because they just had a lot of food? So they're like, yeah, I'll wait till next week. Maybe I can starve for 2 days and then I'll step on the scale. I'm telling you, step on the scale. Look in your account. Look at what you have in inventory. Look at everything and identify every single stressor that you have, because you have to change the way you think about those things. Not the good stuff. You have to change the way you think about the things that you perceive as challenges. And I think in real estate, a challenge is just a situation. There's always a challenge. In my opinion, people are the biggest challenge in real estate. The customers are the biggest challenge. How do I get all those pictures of your grandmother off the wall without offending you? She's stressing me. I feel like her eyes are watching me as we walk through. I'm sure your prospective buyers will think the same. It's the people. So how do we help you think about the situation differently? Number two, you ask for what you want. So you identify the difficulties, and I say you ask for what you want. Who do you need help from? What do you need in order to be successful? If you don't know what you need to be successful, then it will be hard, because no one's going to come up to you and go, Ryan, I heard that you needed some things, and I'm here to help you. Has it ever happened? No. You're a dad and you're a business owner. No one cares what you think, right? So you basically have to express it. And we're from the Midwest, and so what is the word that is used for people who ask for what they want? What's the word?
I don't know.
Assertive?
No, they don't say assertive. That, like, maybe on the East Coast they would say that. What do they say in the Midwest? Selfish. You're selfish. Who do you think you are? We all have to suffer through the cold and the wind, and you're asking for what you want and expecting it, but that's how it works. You know, my dad and Harry, I'm going to the United States, I'm going to the United States. I would love if you would help me go to the United States. And now I'm here, speaking Minnesotan, right? Work on everything you can change. So what can you change about you? If you want 2019 to be different, identify one thing that you are going to change that gets in your way. What are you doing that gets in your way? I could end the presentation here and you would have a better year. I do dream about a lot of things. My visions are what got me to this place. But the big thing I say is, well, what am I doing that gets in my own way? Well, you know what? I could probably order, because like I have these books. I have like 7 books that you can fight over. It's a fantastic book. So one of the things that I do is I order too few books. Like I don't order 500 books. I could save so much money if I ordered in bulk. But I have this I started this business on my own, and so I'm afraid, I don't like big expenditures. I don't like did you hear that? That was, okay. I don't like big expenditures, and so I say, oh, I'm only gonna order this many. So I have to get over that. That's actually a bad belief, because I'm gonna sell every single one of the books, and I'm not that person I was when I started this business. I have money to order the books. So that's just one thing I'm gonna change, and it's gonna change my whole year. I will sell more books, and I will save money, and I will save the money that I saved. That's another thing. And you gotta change. If you must change it. You know, people, I'll give you an example. I was always a messy car person. How many realtors are usually messy car people? Let me see. Come on, fess up. Yeah, because you're so busy going to the next thing. You're out of this moment and into the next. So I'm like that type of person. And I got in this bad accident, and I totaled my car last year, and I'm fine. But I got a new car, like a poor man's new car. Woo, I get a new car with smiles. So I went and got this new car. So I was with my daughter, and I said, I'm gonna keep this car clean. It's like perfectly clean. I'm just gonna keep it clean. And she laughed. 16 years old. She's like, oh, okay. I'm like, okay, it's on. 3 months later, it is perfectly clean. Now, I'm 48 years old. How did I, after a lifetime of being gross, like families of other beings than humans lived in my car, living off of whatever it was. And now there's nothing in there. It looks like brand new. It looks like no one lives there. You can't find traces of me. Whose car is this? I don't know. And I did it overnight. So it wasn't that my personality was I'm a messy car person. It was that I hadn't made the decision. Once I made the decision, it was over. So I think that there are things in your life that you think, oh yeah, I've been like that since I was 8. So that means an 8-year-old decided that you were gonna be this way, and you're still executing that 40 years later. I think you can change. Take it away from the 8-year-old, thanks for that, but we're gonna change now. And she'll go, okay, I had no idea. And that'll be it. All right, does anyone have something out of that they're gonna use? Who wants to say it? Yes.
Thanks for that, but we're gonna change now.
Yes.
I love that.
Yes, thanks for that. I appreciate you, 8-year-old. Myth number 2, everyone knows who we are and what we do. When you go, hi, I'm a realtor. Yeah, I know you're, okay. Don't say anymore, I'm a realtor. I need a Kleenex, my nose is, can I get here, I'm taking this. Before I drip. It's January, right?
Matches.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect. Thank you for that. You think of everything. I appreciate you. Okay. So, how many people feel that? Like, what do I say? How do I say, hi, I'm me, and get them to stay with me when they already know they think they know the answer to everything? Raise your hand if you ever have that feeling. No one has that feeling. I'm unique and special. I'm a realtor. Right? Is everybody? Okay. Your arms are tired? That was hard. That was a hard first one. Who remembers this? Yeah. I remember moving to Des Moines. It was 20 years ago, and it was like the coolest place to shop. They had everything. They had all the like special things, and it slowly changed over time. So when I started my business, I had been doing it for about 2 or 3 years, and I met with someone who was in marketing with dolls. And I talked about social media. Said you should put yourself out there. And you should, whatever your brand is, I think you should be repeating that out there. And they said, everyone knows who we are. We don't really need to tell anyone. And I thought, oh, okay, I mean, I guess. And they're gone. So I was right. I really feel like you should listen to me because I told them. So even though everybody knew the name, a lot of people knew the name, and it had been around forever, and it's groceries, like it's groceries, right? There's nothing special about a grocery store. There was still an opportunity to differentiate themselves in the marketplace, and there are still people to introduce themselves to. So I have this picture here because when you think that everybody already knows what you're going to say. Everybody already knows what they do. It's like looking at people without heads. You're looking at them and you can't see anything. Because you already think that they is everybody. When the reality is there are billions of people on the planet. And there are millions of people that live here. And I know that everyone, how many people have seen me for the first time? Raise your hand. Yeah, see? So I have more work to do. Look at all these people. So many times people say, Liz Nead, I feel like I should have known you. So they go out and they Google Liz Nead, N-E-A-D, and go out and look, and there's tons of stuff out there. I have hundreds of YouTube videos. I've been doing this for a long time. I am out there. And yet, more people than not don't know who I am. And so I have some work to do every single day. I have to meet people that don't know me. And I have to tell them what I do and find out what they need. So here's the deal. You believe in numbers, not fears. So if I'm afraid that the market is saturated with coaches and speakers, then that's a fear. Is it true that everybody has what I have to offer? Do they even know my name? Do they understand what I bring to the table? Have I understood them? If I don't think about numbers, then I'm going to believe the dialogue. And I will say this to you, realtors. Sometimes you can be a little whiny. Do you understand that? That's like how you bond. Oh yeah, whew, it was a tough day. And then you talk about all the things that happened, and you talk about how no one's buying, and you talk about how people are mean to you sometimes when you're trying to be nice to them, and you talk about it. And then it becomes a shared experience. And the more shared fear that you have, the more real it feels inside. So it's kind of up to you to decide how you're going to represent yourself as an individual and how you're going to represent yourself as a community. But I guarantee you, everyone doesn't know what you do. I promise you. That's why they're picking the wrong people. Like, how many times have you seen someone and you're like, oh man, that was a bad decision. But then how were they supposed to pick you? Had you introduced yourself? Did they know how much better what you bring to the table? So I want to ask you, I have to ask people, like you're just sitting there and staring. No one is that entertaining. So I have to ask you questions, just so you know. And it can't be you anymore because now you've done two. But thank you so much. Yes, I know. Well, okay, well just, but you know, I want, because they love you and they want you to keep raising your hand. So, but let me ask you, what do you bring to the table that some of these shysters don't? Let me just put it that way. It's like an old timey word, because I'm 48. Back in the day, they said shyster. Seriously. So, what do you bring to the table?
Work ethic.
Yeah. Okay. Like you will make sure that it's done right, and you go the extra mile for the stuff that could be like in the basement. Like you'll go down some stairs.